Hi Chris, this is your video reply because clearly I'm not capable of getting around to writing a letter, which I much appreciate, by the way. One person sends me a letter every year, that's you. I've been meaning to reply to it blow by blow because I remember reading it thinking, oh, that all needs a good reply, and then I've lost everything in a pile of papers as usual. Probably the sound isn't even working on this thing. Anyway, we've got to risk it. I haven't done a video online due to popular demand on YouTube. I've got your last year's letter. I nearly replied to that. Then I realised it was the wrong one. Same note paper though. How was 2024? Well, it wasn't good enough, I don't think. How was it? Another year goes by very quickly without very much achieved. I do my usual mantra of I'm a massive underachiever and beat myself up about it. Not enough landmarks to be able to say I've done anything substantial or worthwhile. I mean, you're going to get the zone of the sort of vibe I'm going to be dealing with over the next 10 minutes. This is just therapy for me. What else was it? Did I do a show in Edinburgh? No, I didn't do a show in Edinburgh, did I? Did I get up on it and guessed at a show? I think I must have done that. Even the boys didn't do their improv. I'm doing some improv tonight. I've got to go back to do it. Otherwise I don't see anybody or do anything. Then I'm starting another improv thing this year called Playback, where you play back people's stories to them. I've tested it out in once or twice, but they're setting up a more formal workshop thing to perform it. It's quite powerful therapeutically. And they're picked Fridays, not every Friday, at 5:30 to 7:30. It's quite a good time, that, really, in town. And going to try that, but the first one was last week and they cancelled it because of the weather. 2024, what else did I do? My mum had a mini stroke. I was performing an improv show here, 10th year of Spontaneous Rex. Fat John's review outfit that I've guested at in Edinburgh by popular demand on more than one occasion. I'm looking a bit blue. Alexa, screen on.
Okay.
That's no better. I'm getting older, a lot older, too old. So they are. Oh, so what was that? So Mum had a mini stroke. So I raced back there. So she had that. Just a TIA, has been okay since. Cholesterol high, not as high as mine. I went to have mine measured. It's through the roof. And I've done nothing about it. So 9. That's bad for a cholesterol, isn't it? I think so. My ratio isn't so bad, but 9. You know, that's 1 foot. 1 foot in. Officially retired. That was a good idea. Oh yeah, and then my auntie has had a major stroke, so her sister. So there's 3 of them. Her uncle, my uncle, her brother died November last year before, 23. And Mum's fine, but her sister's had a major stroke and it's a bad one. She's in Harrogate Hospital, paralysed left side. Took a couple of weeks to realise she's blind in her left eye. Brain's okay. And now she's been in the bed so long, for a few months, without able to get physio or any improvement. Her brain's going, just deteriorating. I guess that's how we go. And she was so active. And her sister's run around from Edinburgh, given up a life, a job, about to give up a house, sell the house for nursing home fees. I just learned yesterday she's got in on a nursing home, and as soon as she's out of the hospital, she's out of sight, out of mind. The chances of getting any physio there, and I would have thought, are remote. So that's 1,500 quid a week until the money runs out, which isn't that much. I don't know. I don't know how it all works. What a nightmare. What an absolute nightmare. And to go from physically active, just like that, and got me thinking. One of my many morose thoughts at the moment, as I try and get my act together, is why we need dying. Dying makes you ready to be dead. It makes you ready to go. And you can be so unready And then all of a sudden, a couple of months in a hospital bed, looking at the walls, listening to the vacuum cleaner. That's going to bloody well make you ready, isn't it? And your brain starts to get forgetful and doesn't work properly. Every day looks the same. So it's hard to know even how to help in any way. Even by visiting, she doesn't want to see visitors. Managed to go at Christmas. My mum's going a bit more than she was. But she lost a driving licence after the stroke, or surrendered it. I took a car so she couldn't get around. That was just a side effect. I didn't take a car. The DVLA took it. Well, the police took it. They came round and gave her an instant test. The bastards. Yeah, they're really good, the police, at doing all the important stuff. So, yeah, so that's what happened there. And that sort of takes over the year. And also, you're just getting upset by proxy. It's not me this has happened to next, not even my mum, but my auntie and cousin are the closest relatives, you see. We've always spent Christmas with them. But then it's just me and my mum on Christmas because my brother never comes up. So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to squeeze life in between all that. And I keep getting the balance all wrong. All wrong. Mine was spent officially retired. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So I'm thinking about retirement now. And it's like a death, a mini death, but the world has retired me, I think. I've had a grievance in about work for being bullied against them since September. Can you believe it? Look at what they're reduced to me, having to make a grievance about them. And then the person who did it, the new office manager, just with abusive ways that are sneaky and nasty and pathetic. Her dad died. So she went off for 3 months, so my grievance couldn't be investigated. It still hasn't been, and I did it at the end of September. So that's ruined everything. It's ruined the job I've done for 10 years. But 10 years is probably time to go, isn't it? 2 of the people in our job resigned. There's only 6 of us. There used to be 4, 2 new recruits, and 2 resigned in December, and I'm ready to go. It's not even a well-paid job. But there's no other jobs around. But I should be just taking life a bit more by the balls and just packing it in. I'm staying for loyalty now, but I'm halving my hours come April the 1st. But it's getting me down. Just dealing with these micromanaging idiots. It's unbelievable. Even if I write advice, we're advisors, vetting medical advisors for the civil service. That's what this job is, not anything else. The A&E work pretty much dried up. I'm doing a shift tomorrow, and it's the 3rd of 3 shifts, and that was all I could get. And I haven't put in for February or March because I've got a holiday to take, and I just need to take some, get on a plane and go somewhere. But it was murder to get those slots. And I had to put in for about 13, and there are no slots. There used to be always fill-ins. There's no fill-ins. There's too many unemployed doctors around. It's not possible. And look at me, knocking on 56. It was bad enough playing this game when it was 46. It was hard enough when I was 36. Now, I'm the granddaddy of trying to do it, and it's hard to... Okay, my immortal youthful looks aside, that doesn't count for anything on an anonymous CV. And plus, it's my character as well. People don't seem to like that either. So I applied for a job. To do training, the play school training, Wednesdays, for doctors. I'd actually be pretty good for that. But I had to do up my CV for the first time. Well, an application form. I read it. I know I've had a rogue career. But I thought I might get shortlisted. There were 3 jobs. 17 people applied on LinkedIn. Had sucked up and phoned the person in advance. Didn't even get a shortlist. What do I have to write? I know why. Look at me. Look at my career. It's indefensible. I always knew it was, even as I was making it indefensible. But it was perfect for that. Hypnotherapy. I'd been an appraiser briefly. I'd written a few books on evidence-based medicine. We're talking about teaching medical students. I'd done some teaching. Before someone objected to me at the university, but that wasn't well known about. I'd done up all those qualifications that never really counted for anything. And I started doing that, what I've just done there, which is I read it through and I thought, this is a good application. But instead of saying this is my CV, I started saying to myself, this was my career. This was who I was when I was a doctor. And suddenly I felt very differently about that document. This was who I was. And I thought, okay, it wasn't bad. I did my bit. Some people cared. Most didn't. But it's still hard to separate yourself fully. Now, January, I'm trying to find an appraiser. My appraiser's disappeared. And so he's been sacked and reallocated. And I usually have to get it done in January. Because the reward for being a doctor throughout your entire life is to lose, in my case, the year after Christmas. Every New Year's faced with, let's get this appraisal done in January. What's everybody else doing? Going skiing for a fortnight. I'm thinking, oh, it's appraisal month. Let's get that out of the way. This is the toll that medicine has taken. And having said that, I'm glad I'm not any younger. This generation is fucked. It's all going to be AI. So yours has been officially retired. Yeah, officially. Yeah, I'd have to keep the appraisal going somehow. I'm trying to get myself one last job on the Trans-Siberian Express. One-way ticket. And then a year in the salt mines. But it turns out there's some war with Russia, which means they're not running the luxury train journeys as much as they used to. That's very inconvenient. You know. I was just ready to get my dicky bow out one last time. No registration, no temptation to do just one shift. Yeah, I used to do fill-ins, A&E, but tough. Anyway, it was lovely to see them and get back there when I went in to see all the nurses there, except one. There was one male guy who's doing his speed triage. What the hell's that? And saying, the nurses had just sort of said, oh, we just glorified urine dippers here, but they can do as much as they like if they actually want to take the difficult decisions on the impossible clinic and actually see the patients or talk to them. They don't. The female nurses are all good. This one male one, quick blood pressure, quick pulse, and then I went to his office, said, actually, can I do he did a urine on this woman who had right or left iliac fossa pain. I thought, okay, you've done a urine. Can you just test it when you've got it for a HCG? Last thing, worst case scenario, this job is missing an ectopic. Oh, you do that, doctor. Is there eating it's 9:00. Is there eating his sandwich? His door's closed because he leaves his door open when he sees patients and closes it when he's surfing the internet and eating his sandwiches at 45 minutes into his shift, and then gives me lip. And I am a guest there. It's not my regular job, so I can't say anything. I just think I don't want to be here. And that was twice that it's only taken. This is one of my new lessons of the year, 2024. It only takes one person to ruin an entire job for you. He wasn't there in the next shift, and one of the other female nurses who I knew, I know them, sort of know them all really. They're in the minor injuries, and they're all nice. They've got a soft job. But they're all pleasant, and that makes a huge difference. And she sort of helped. I went to her later on. I said, this urine, I need it sent off. I said, there's any way I can do it now? She says, you can't do it. It needs to be on the system. You need to ask your nurse in clinic. I said, okay. So I went off and I left it for an hour, and she came back and said, I'll take that. I said, no, it's all right. No, I'll take it. So she must have known. She must have known what an arse he is. Nothing you can do about it. And outside A&E in the RVI, they're building a GP urgent centre, and that's going to be open in November. So the environment of even just the idea of working in a hospital, now there'll be a porter cabin outside and a job with whatever salaried doctor comes on and does it. And that will be the death knell of that job for me. That job that hasn't had a pay rise in the entire life of doing it, not even an NHS pay rise. Even then, so sought after by people who are desperate for work that would be there outside in the porter cabin. So nobody needs my clinical skills, such as they are, and I'm worried about them, because I don't do that much of it anymore. I've got to convince an appraiser I do. It's all messy, isn't it? It's all messy when I should be spending more time writing invisible books and doing lots of hypnotherapy, which is relatively risk-free, but I haven't done that because I'm still surrounded in papers and disorganisation because I am disorganised. Whose fault is that? Had a few wobbles, but keep too busy to have many. Luckily, I find it easy to stay busy. I find it easy to stay busy and achieve nothing. Only fools get bored. There's so much out there to do. Yeah. I can feel my back leaning over because I'm sitting all in this chair. I'm not doing any exercise. I'm heavier than I've ever been. My skin's breaking out because I feel, even if I'm coping with the stress of dealing with these idiotic individuals, it shows. My skin doesn't let me off. It tells me that I'm under stress that I don't like. The way I've sorted out the problems that we have in the civil service, I've written them guidelines, good bulletproof guidelines. What we get back is, don't do that. Don't do that. You can't be spending time doing that. So now I've started doing it on my own free time. I did 3 last week. So when they all go, all the conversations that we've told them will be lost. Not every email can be hidden. There'll be some document that says this is the way you should have done things. But this is the way jobs die. And the people who resigned for the same reasons. They were both going to stay. They both could have been retained. One was a newbie who'd come along just last year and we trained up. It takes 6 months to train him. So now, when I turn to work, I've got to finish his cases, which is even more of a pain in the arse than doing your own. The other guy had arranged, he'd been there for 11, 12 years. He'd arranged to go from 14 down to 7 hours a week. We'd both gone up from 7 to 14 years ago. And I've just done the same. And I think I should be able to survive for 7 hours and make it not look like a gap in the CV. And I like the doctors there, but at some point, you might as well just knock it on the head at that point. But we'll see come April. It just takes up too much mind space for what it's worth, which at that point will be £1,000 a month. So my salary next year will be £12,000. Is it really worth it? Not really. Just doing it for identity or contrast, or for your CV. Not sure any of those are brilliant reasons. There are new identities you could have. There's other contrasts you could have that involve sunny weather and sand, or rosé in the afternoon. So anyway, these are the things I'm thinking about as usual, but this year I'm going to make some differences. I've made some differences by half chucking in the job, and once you've half chucked it in, it's easier to do the other bit. And I'm going to correct a few other things, including, I know what you mentioned in the letter, which is get your ass together and write a book. Yeah, I know. So fortunately we've got AI now to write it for me, so should have 10 out this month. I have a weed-free garden. Good for you. No ironing ever. Just discard the clothes. Quite right. He's in the gym 3 times a week. Yeah, I'm just trying to go back. Went ice skating last week for the first time. How humiliating. Seeing me crutching, grabbing the sides, trying to get past this 4-year-old, was 3 or 4 year old, standing there defiantly. So even when I'd gone round a full circuit, which took about 17 minutes, still there. She's hanging on. I'm thinking, I've got to take my life in my hands to divert 12 inches round you. And then the looks of pity that you get with this old man thinking he should be in ice skates. And I'm going to the quietest time. Quietest time makes no difference. And then they feel obliged to offer you advice. Oh, you're leaning over. Oh dear, am I? Sorry you had to see that. How much is the private rental of the entire rink for an hour? Oh, God, why do I put myself through it? So that or Pilates. Keeping the bones strong, yeah. Small group of girlfriends. So do the ladies who lunch thing. We do weekends and nights away. Yeah, great. Went to US, Canada again. My brother did Route 66 over two visits. Mind you, he said there was nothing on it. It was best just to stay in New York or California. There's nothing in the middle of America, so I do see myself on a Greyhound bus at some point discovering the same information. But yeah, I think travel is needed now. I didn't have the appetite for a while, but I feel as though I just want to get on a plane and go somewhere. I've got a few things to sort out. Make everything a lot more mobile. Be paper free. It's been my ambition for years, done it. But I'm going to do something this year. I'm making more drastic changes. I've sold my heating flat, sold it. Just thought I'd simplify. Bought it for 85 about 18 years ago. Sold it for 170. That isn't a profit. That's just money keeping its value. £85,000 then is worth 175,000 now. If you put it in anything, it would have gone up. So that's out of the way. And currently, I'm doing Edinburgh. I'm putting a floor in. Everybody told me not to, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm putting a floor. So I found a builder when I was there. Take the extra floor space and put in an extra space that could be used as an office or somewhere where somebody could actually bunk up comfortably instead of being walked over in the living room. So I'm pleased about that and putting another window in, but the hassle, the architect's useless, the planners. I put the planning in 3 years ago and it didn't complete, so we've been up against it, but I found a builder when I was there in August who'd done the same work. So that's up to 30 grand, 32, it'll go up more. He quoted me originally at 20, but I'm just happy to have him because it'll make the property a lot more usable. I've got to use my assets really, so anyway, I'm pleased with doing it. I've got to move life on, take some chances. It's a small chance. I'm not taking enough risks really. Maybe, well, that's not true. I think I might have taken too many. See, I don't even know. Not calibrated. You went middle-aged and middle class. Good. I drove a small SUV and joined the National Trust. Old house and garden. Recommend Cragside. Yeah, only 2 funerals this year. A win, not for them. No, well, quite. Quite, or is it? Isn't death the sweetest win of all? Did seem for a while that I had one a month. Yeah, well, you know. Maybe that's it, how we age. Yeah, we do. We count them not just by deaths that we know, but demises and celebrity demises, you know. Not just Wyn Evans, not just him, but I've got a friend who's got MS. You know, MS. Fine, but it hangs over you, doesn't it? And how many people do you know in remission from breast cancer? Every second person. So there we go. Anyway, remission. We're all in remission from something. Usually aches and pains. Yeah. So we've got to move, haven't we? I used to be a walking skeptic. My builder's just told me this morning that he stays thin and slim. He accused me of being 30 or 40, so obviously he needs his eyes testing. Or does he? And he said, yeah, I don't eat much, he said, and I have a walk first thing in the morning and last thing at night. I said, get back to work, you lazy bastard. That floor needs to go in. Yeah. So I need to I'm going to try and exercise my cholesterol down. I'm not going to take a statin. I'd rather die. Mum took 80 milligrams of atorvastatin because some hospital clown gave it to her after the TIA. Spent 6 weeks wobbling and falling over until she got 8 urgent calls from a GP in the same morning, screaming at saying, "Have you seen your liver enzymes?" Stopped it, went eventually back to normal, having suspected every cancer in the world, and then started her back on the same drug at a lower dose. And then I went to a webinar by Ahmed Fuat. You know him, he's always giving talks, cardiology for GPs. He must be loaded just on his fees for that alone. And he started doing them. I learnt in this talk because his dad died when he was a third-year medical student from his heart. So he got into it. Given all the usual crap advice, he'd spent a life as a vegetarian, so he did end up having an heart attack himself, you know, when you should be on the carnivore diet. Doesn't everybody know that by now? I'm on butter and beef. Fucking vegetables. I haven't had one in months. Carbs and vegetables. Could eliminate the fruit and veg. Get out of Holland and Barrett. Grass-fed beef. All the butter you can eat. Bacon and eggs every morning. You're welcome. Yeah, there isn't a doctor in the country who can give you proper advice about how to do that. But I'm going to try and exercise my cholesterol down, which I know for a fact is not possible. He says 10% you can do it with, but there we go. I say I'm going to try and do it. I'm talking about it. I'm just sitting here, not exercising it at all. That's okay. Where does anxiety come from? Anxiety comes from memories of bad things that happen in life, even ones that you just hear about the possibility of bad things that happen in life. It comes from lack of flexibility, fixed things that we own, that aren't movable, that you can't pick up and move on and restart, move in a different direction, pivot. So it comes from things, it comes from people who give it to you. It comes from people who don't give it to you because it's your job to take it off them and share it, and energy has to go somewhere. And probably a bunch of other places. Unfulfilled potential, in my case. Alcohol helps. Doesn't help the waistline, but it always works. Anyway, I'm trying not to drink too much during the week before I cane it hard between Thursday and Tuesday. I avoid driving to new places. Driving is because it's your biggest chance of dying, and you don't have to do anything wrong to do it. Just some nutcase coming towards you on the wrong side of the road. I'd like to go, on a Vespa up the hairpin bends of Tuscany. Friend John Worthy, who did Fiddler, he's now just gone to Thailand, and he hired motorbikes. Claims he asked me to go with him, but nobody does. But I couldn't have done it this week. I can't do it in January. This is my appraisal month, where I don't get my appraisal done. But I don't want to be on a motorbike. I don't mind being on a car to some degree, but make it bulletproof, Tesla. But I don't want to be on a motorbike, really. I don't want to be thinking about not dying every second I've got my hand on those handlebars. I want to be able to look out the window occasionally. Driving in the dark's a total nightmare, because I think you don't realise how much information your eyes don't get in. This is what happened with Mum. I don't like it either. And bright lights coming at you. So I think it used to bother me. So I think your eyes are, there's no information, there's no lights on the roads, and you just don't know what's going to happen. There's no white markings on the road in Newcastle. You've got to guess where the lanes are, and if you're first time at a junction, forget it. That's why new roads are a disaster. Literally all the white markings need labelling out so it's clear what people can and can't cross. And half the drivers are Uber drivers. They don't indicate or have any rules to them. Travelling makes me feel sick. Take an antihistamine. It's not serious and it's new to me. Yeah. So, antihistamine relaxes, but also if you, it's very effective. Everybody who got seasick on a cruise, you could sort it out with a jab of promethazine. Everyone around me is staying well. Good. Its 7-year-old mother has just this year started her first prescription medication. Well, that's why. Yeah, and that's probably might not be necessary even. She's completely batty, as in personality. My mum keeps going like a trooper. Should I be spending more time with her? Should I be taking on a cruise? I probably should. But I'm still locked in. Anyway, I'm unlocking myself. I'm unlocking myself from these fixed things this year. Phase 3 of life. I've done phase 2 now, I think. There must be a third phase. It might not last for very long. You don't know how long you got. Physically robust and still does everything for herself, yeah. So does mine, but her sister doesn't, and my brother certainly doesn't. Bridge club, yeah. My mum's got so many clubs. She could run her own golf course, etc. I really wanted an allotment. Yeah, there's one near me. I want to set off a reply, but most of my epistles don't get responses to it. I told you about applying for a job and not getting shortlisted, didn't I? Did I finish that story? I didn't get shortlisted for this thing where they had 3 jobs teaching medical students. Didn't get shortlisted, and the CV was good. I read it and thought, I was telling you, I read it and thought, okay, that's the best I can do. They've got to shortlist me, even if they don't admire my checkered career. And I'd phoned him and sucked up to him, but yeah, not shortlisted. I mean, it's good information, isn't it? That you're utterly, totally worthless and something you should be highly appropriate for. And it was just, I could have walked it distance. It's just in Coach Lane, near the burnt down Henderson Hall that I used to be in. Worry about the commitment. Yeah, I'd like a dog, but the commitment, you can't really have one. So I just look at dog videos now on YouTube. Those bloody things, Pray for Dogs and Rocky Kanaka, all these what the Eastern Europeans are doing to their dog. I think they're deliberately starving them so they can save them for millions of views. It's absolutely heartbreaking. What they do to their dogs is just, well, don't need to tell you. It's just unbelievable. Hate being cold. Look at me. 4 layers. Central heating on. Damp cold days. Well, I haven't graduated out of this flat in 90 years. What's the matter with me? But what should I be planting, etc.? What would I want? Quite. Think of my vision of me carrying a basket of homegrown veg into the kitchen is a thing of daydreams. Are you still doing Edinburgh? Yeah, well, I'm repairing Edinburgh. I'm putting in the space. I'm going to make it more functional. I could do a play and put a cast of 4 up there now. So that'll become more usable, that space, because I tell you what, it's tiny. However tiny you remember it as, it's tinier than that. So I'll double the floor, increase the floor space by about a third or something. So it'll be really, really, really useful. And I'm allowed to put a window in because it used to have one. So we're just knocking that through. They would never have given permission if it didn't used to have one. So I think it should be a good development, but it was tiny. Taking away the understairs cupboard. Got a great builder who's negotiating, talking, communicating with me, and I can live with the cost of it. The price should be on the property. So it'll be just so much more usable and so much easier to share with other people, which is so me, really. So yeah, I'm doing it. I'd like to, when I think of ambitions that I'd like to do, I wouldn't mind doing a show at Edinburgh. The fact is, I don't have really any desire to perform. I only do shows for challenges, really, just for the challenge and for a new experience. So this will make you laugh, even though I'm kind of serious. If you look at what will be a great challenge, if I had 3 years to build up, say, some hypnosis, do a bit of magic for the first time, go to Blackpool in a couple of weeks. That's at least something. I go every year now if I can to the Blackpool Magic Convention, because it's brilliant, really, and it's non-stop, so you can just go on your own. There's lots and lots of things to do. Met a guy last year who I knew from the ships, a magician on the ships, who showed me, and it was nice to see him because it was Paul Romani. His name is. And it was nice to be remembered, because I didn't really Facebook everybody when I was at sea, and I think I wasn't collecting names and numbers like that, and so I lost a lot of that. But it was nice to be remembered, and remembered well and fondly, which is why I appreciate this letter. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm doing Edinburgh. The interesting thing about it, and one of the reasons I finally pulled the trigger on this project, apart from finding the builder, was that other people aren't going to Edinburgh. Say it's unaffordable or it's gone wrong. But so they maybe can't take their productions there, but I can. So that opens up a whole new world. My hypnotist friend, Rob, the red-haired guy who was put in prison last year for what was he doing? He was selling photos that he found. He hacked into some accounts. Bizarre. He must be out of prison now. He got 8 months, so probably was out in 4. And I've seen a photo of him. He's not doing much, but I've seen a photo of him with brown hair instead of red hair. I mean, he's got to let the red hair go now, hasn't he? But bad things happen to people, don't they? People, it's risk, about taking risks. He obviously thought he could take that risk and he'd get away with it. And often you don't with risks. But if you don't risk anything, you don't achieve anything. I was there early August with the girls. Oh, okay. Got cheap rail tickets. Thought it was quieter than I remembered. Yeah. Early's the time to go, really, because it's gathering up. Mind you, it was a very different experience. Sauntering around shops, cocktail bars and restaurants. I have no idea what you're talking about. Not running around with my backside on fire, looking for venues in back alleyways. Joke. Don't get it. It only felt like that on one or two occasions. I hope you're fitting well. 2024 was a good year. No, it wasn't. And I hope you finished your book. A book, any book, unpunished. Yeah. Submissions, don't see it on Amazon. Bloody Amazon, honestly. They don't know what they're doing. Get it finished. I'll buy it. Okay, signed and first edition. Should be a little full stop after the ed. Otherwise it looked like first read. Obviously, it wouldn't be any point in me reading it, being the author of such a great work. Just in case it's a classic, I don't think we need to worry about that. Have a peaceful Christmas. Let's hope we all get through 2025 in good health. Yeah, some sunshine, good weather would be nice too. Yeah, so thank you. It was the other thing I did was mess around with my investments. So I, just for as a full confessional, the other things that was on my mind, I got burnt by FTX and I got burnt by Celsius. Basically, there isn't an investment decision that I haven't screwed up on, but I kind of got away with. FTX have kind of done refunds. I'm waiting for money back. Celsius just went, but I got my money out of Celsius just in time. It was my crypto, and but they have a clause that if you get it out within 90 days of them going bankrupt for fraud, which is what they did. Alex Mashinsky's case, head of Celsius, comes up I think this month, or maybe soon. Buy his way out of prison, or he'll have to go to prison or something. They come for you if you. So I'm in what's called a clawback period. So I hope you're sitting down. I got they come in for the money. So I was kind of hope they wouldn't come for it, because they come in for your Bitcoin in 2024 prices, which is unbelievable. Regardless of whether you've sold all your Bitcoin, which I did for a time. So I got a court summons hand delivered to me by what I think is a representative of the Home Office to the Court of New York. I've been sued for. I put all my savings into it. So when I say I haven't taken risks, it's because it didn't really feel like it at the time, although I wouldn't have done it if I'd had kids. But I was just at a time when I thought I was doing my due diligence. But you can't. There's no way of doing it. You've either got to take a chance or not take a chance. Same with shares. I haven't bought a share in the past 2 years because I don't know what to buy. I had one idea. I bought Carnival. Made money, lost it all on Boohoo. Hate Boohoo. Would never buy anything from them particularly. But you've got to keep on having great ideas. My great idea was during lockdown, as a lot of people became investors. Why did I do it? Because my dad did it. I was made redundant from being a doctor because they didn't want us in A&E. And I thought you're supposed to sort of invest what you've got. So they're coming for me on that. My only hope is that there's a group of people who they're doing a group claim where we're claiming that we shouldn't have to give that money back at all. It was our money, and I didn't take it out on insider knowledge. I took it out because I didn't want to take the risk anymore of leaving it in, even though I wasn't aware there was any risk. I just felt uncomfortable. So, but we've got to give the money back as a pool to all the people who didn't manage to get the money back within 3 months. I took mine out largely 2 months before, but I'm still counted as though I've got it in the bank. It's just unbelievable set of circumstances. It's a bit complicated anyway, and this was there probably aren't so many places. This has all been flushed out, and crypto has become a lot safer since then. And Bitcoin is now totally safe, and I'm okay with it. I can fight. I can get through it. Even in the worst case scenario, it's not going to finish me. Even though I say out of my head that it does, it won't. I wouldn't mind being portable enough to be able to go and live in Saudi Arabia or something if I have to, or move to the UAE or Dubai somewhere. But other than that, I've benefited from it. So I've benefited from the risk. I'd just like those risks to be over, and that probably will take another year while the world is being travelled by American lawyers who've been funded to $50 million to take everybody like me out of the game and get what they can. And if you have any assets, they can put a lien in against you for that. And I do. I can't sell property and go, I've sold one flat, but if you've got assets, they're going to have you. So I hope there'll be a way through that. I could do without it. I won't lie to you. But there'll have to be a way through it somehow. You're not even allowed to respond to it other than the group action. They won't even talk to you as an individual. They'll just come straight in with a court summons, which is around here somewhere. Would you like to see it? Not really. Just a big load of pieces of paper saying we're going to see you in New York, and everybody thinking, well, how are you going to do that? But we have a strong enough a relationship with America for that to be quite possible in the UK, one of the most exposed countries. Anyway, we've got an Australian guy on Telegram who's going to speak for the group. There aren't that many of us. We're talking about hundreds of people in the world who did this, not millions. And he's going to, and we've only had to pay him $500 and 1% of whatever the deal is. I'd just be happy to get it out of the way. It doesn't look like the courts in New York are in any mood to throw it out of court because they're just protecting their citizens. Although I did hear the judge was very unwell, so it might all be kicked down the road. So anyway, there has to be some sort of a way through it. But it's added to stress. But there's a way through. I've got enough resources to get out of it, and I've just done my accounts. I've been honest with all my accounts. It's not like I'm hiding anything from anybody particularly, although I'm not telling them I've got any crypto left. You don't have to. I'm not the accounts. I tell you HMRC, just not telling the courts of New York as far as they're concerned. I don't have anything left. But I did go in that a bit hard in times when it was more of a Wild West than it is now. I didn't realise the risk I was taking. So it's all about risk, the risks that you'll take. But it's I think it's paid off, and I think it will pay off. Not just doing Bitcoin, but going into MicroStrategy shares, which are a proxy for Bitcoin, which I put into my SIP, so it repaired some of my pension. And ISAs. So anyway, so I'll tell you about that because they're the big things, and I can't really talk about it to anybody because you can't really talk about these things very easily. I don't mind looking a fool and people knowing, but what I can't believe is that this country is so ignorant about Bitcoin. It's just, and Europe in general, I was hearing some stories, but it's obviously come to change the world. It's the currency of AI, which is just unbelievably powerful. I was paying for ChatGPT for some reason. It was getting a bit slow, but we know the game is done by, what is it, DeepSeek? Got it on my desktop somewhere now. My favourites box. I was using Perplexity, but now it's anyway. Chat.deepseek. There it is. Chat.deepseek.com. So all there for free because the price of technology goes to zero. So they come out with ChatGPT, think this is great, and then start charging for it. Can't charge for it. DeepSeek's doing it all for free. Better. So the price of technology is always zero. That's why we have you know, these computers that we carry around in our pockets. That's why we have these, my hard drive enclosures to upgrade my laptop that I've got today. Hard drive enclosure I bought yesterday, which I couldn't make work. The modem that just arrived this morning because I lost a day's work, and my modem is still saying red, although it is working when it's in the mood. So 25 is going to be a lot better. Hopefully Mum will stay healthy. I'm half quitting my job. Not getting this job for the GP training is going to free me up. I've done my best to apply for it and give off my greatest gift to the world. And they've decided not interested. And that is a pattern I have faced. So I don't need people to be interested. I can retire on low means. Low means, what does that even mean? I can just retire. I could just retire and sit around living the same sort of life. But I think what I'll do is I have to keep in contact with being a doctor somehow. I'm going to do more hypnotherapy and start charging for it. I'm only doing it for one friend of a friend who's got IBS at the minute, and I've let that go because of all these other things, largely illnesses, not particularly mine, and then just allow myself to relax and not back too much white wine and getting a big belly on the back of it. And the hassles of work and the hassles of the grievance and all the rest of the nonsense that's going on. So I'm going to halve that with my civil service job. I could let that go entirely. I'm going to do some holidays, some travelling. I'm going to go on some planes. I'm going to do more exercise. I'm going to let the GP work go. After tomorrow's shift, I'm going to let that go for a while. Then I'm going to focus on the books, exercise, and summer coming, clear these papers. I'm going to get your promised book out, and more than one. Even though, and I think this year I will, I'm going to get in a few weeks' time, the refurb at Edinburgh will be complete. So that'll have been done. That's been a few years on the making. I need to start Steam Cottage again. I want to do that soon. What's putting me off is not finding a person. The thing about Edinburgh was I found a builder. So I might have to do that and bring one in somehow. But I did start it, so it's not impossible. That is on my list to do. Well, it's been on all year. All last year it was. And still I'm saying that now, but I'm going to get closer to that because having finished one refurbishment, hopefully should be able to finish the other. I'd like to buy a new carpet, but I've only just taken the Christmas tree down, and that will need vacuuming first. I don't see that happening anytime soon. I've got a wreath on my door for Christmas. Am I allowed to leave that on all year? It's cones and fur, so it does look Christmassy. Does that make me look an idiot? People do leave wreaths on their door, but if I take it off, it's just going to go in the bin, isn't it? 'Cause it's just going to be brown by next year. So, you know, I've not had wreaths before. I don't have skin in the game on the wreath game. I don't have life experience on whether I should. So I'm leaving it up for now. Because it's fine. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit the exercise thing a bit harder. I'm going to try and prioritise health over anything else, he said. And if the time I release from the 14 hours a week, that extra 7 hours is spent doing something that involves movement, I think I'll reverse some of my health things. And then that is the plan. Travel a bit more, do more hypnotherapy, do some magic. That was the thing I'd started telling you. What is a balmy idea? What if you said you could do a magic show, right? And not a big one, but a parlour thing, using your, well-proven communication skills that have not only survived many, many wonderful best-selling books, but also several award-winning YouTube videos. And do a show and then take it to Las Vegas. You're looking at your next Las Vegas headliner. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can I get tickets for the hottest ticket in town? Yeah, I know. But you could go and do it in a coffee shop in Las Vegas. You could do a parlour show you could just have it as a little sort of thing that you could work up and get better at, and combine it with other things like hypnotherapy and marketing. And it would be fun. Obviously, I'd have to start at Edinburgh and round the regions practicing and getting skilled at doing it. But it would be fairly easy to write the show. It would be fairly easy to script it. It might be fun and interesting. And you could even do it in silence so that it crossed any international border. Who would you collide with then? You know, who would be the people that would, you know, walk through your life if you did that? It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I get a little bit of that with improv. Not really, but at least it gets you out there. And you're talking and communicating with other people in ways that create some comedy and entertainment. And we're not laughing enough, are we, really? There's not a lot to laugh at. Except in America, which is just brilliant. Got Trump in and Musk. Musk's done well for me with the Tesla shares. He's the other thing I bought into, apart from MicroStrategy. Bought into Tesla. So that's done good, sitting in the pension plan. So that should double in the next year. Figures coming out tonight. America has optimism because brilliantly Trump is back, thank God. Unfortunately, we've got the most useless government since the last useless government we have, and we have to wait now 4 years for a revolution. So it's unfortunate the way our elections have fallen. But if you do want to see Nigel Farage live, he's performing next Saturday in Durham. Houghton-le-Spring, is that in Durham? In one of his arena things. Rainton Arena, otherwise known as Sunderland Live. So one of his rallies, but you'll be able to watch it on YouTube, so don't worry too much if you can't get there. So yeah, America has optimism because it has AI and it has, well, if it's got any sense, it'll have Bitcoin. But everybody in this country who doesn't have kids have been told to buy Bitcoin have been misinformed. So because that's the only thing that's come to save them, I would say. Even my nephews and nieces, they've got birthdays coming up next week. I shall give them 0.001 of Bitcoin. But I've already done that, and I've still got it because they don't have a wallet to keep it in. So I'm going to have to tell, give me a wallet, give me a barcode, your QR code, and I'll send that over, and that's your birthday sorted. But I bought them 30 quid's worth a couple of years ago now. That's now worth $102. What's that? 88 quid or something. So if the penny doesn't drop, I mean, you can only take a horse to water, can't you? And you can't make them drink. If you show them how the price has tripled, then you can only show them. So that's that. So yeah, I'm optimistic about the year. I just don't want anything else bad to happen, but it will, of course. I'm releasing the work. I'm trying to release the property. I'm getting the property sorted out. I'm going to do the books. I'm going to launch myself as a hypnotic international entertainer. We're going to book the Las Vegas tour. You know, what can I say? But book early. Nobody wants to be out in the rain when the J Machine is putting on his hot top hat, white tie and tails. So there we go. That's more than you got. I mean, this is why I've not written a letter. This is maybe a very unappreciated format that is a massive waste of your time. But I will launch this to an unlisted YouTube video in what I'd like to call the usual way, but I haven't done it before, but I know how straightforward it is. But it'll be a big file. Is anything telling me how many minutes we're on? No. But you'll know. You'll be able to look down. I can't tell. So nice to hear from you. Thank you very much for the letter. Much appreciated. How's that compared to last year's letter? I think I just read it. You said he had asthma. Yeah, well, I mean, what's going on? It's because we're all eating too much plastic. You know, I'm trying to eat out of just glass now because it's all plastic. We're all being turned into recyclables. Yeah, playing to Tenerife, sunshine, these are the themes, sunshines and funerals, these are the themes, still at work at the time, don't mind it, yeah, and then somebody comes along and ruins it. Asthma, steroids, rescuing animals, trying to trap kittens. Good to see you're still writing. Yeah, this was the previous year, obviously. I admire your persistence now. And your latest one, you've got a little bit more cynical about my output, which I think is very merited. David Icke, you saying you're a great fan of the lizard thing. Religious people, absolute garbage. Yeah. So yeah. So that's where we're up to. So yeah, no. I just need to have a bit of a rest. I need all the morons in the world to disappear in a puff of smoke. I need people to. I don't need people to give me a job. I'm gonna give up on that. I was loath to even apply for that thing, but I just thought I better give it a go. Because I could think of another door. It was the door I thought it might open up was going to teach in the UAE. I know he said don't go there, but it could be one thing. It'd be an adventure. It needs an adventure, you see. If you don't have any adventures, then we're not alive, are we? Really? Adventures mean risk, of course. But I could expand it with the hypnotherapy, and it's hard to retire medicine. But if it retires you from it, then you got to listen to the marching of the message. So thanks. Happy New Year, and I hope this hasn't been too painful. And I tried to hide all the mess behind me as best I could. So whatever you do, don't look beyond these points. That is a water buoy and punch bag, which is waiting for me there to punch it to get my boxing skills up. And of course I haven't punched it at all. It's been there a year, hasn't been touched, barely. So whose fault is that? I suppose I'm carrying that one as well. Right, okay, that's it. That's the third time I've had a false sign-off, so I better go for real now and get on with all those things that I promised you and get those books on the shelves. Okay, see you later.